Alright, so I'm going to talk about how to change out your hydraulic drive belt on the sc252 from Vermeer. Couldn't find a whole lot of information online, so I just started tooling with it myself and figured it out. And this is the easiest thing I found so far. So to get started, you just take off these two bolts here. Take them completely out. And then in between these two bolts, you'll see there's these other two holes. You'll screw those back in, and that's actually how you force this piece away from the wheel in the back. They've both got tapers to them. So screw those in until they bottom out. And you'll feel it start putting pressure on there. Do it evenly though, so you don't torque this one way or another and end up snapping off one of your bolts. Just making it a huge headache for yourself. So there, you can see that it's free, or getting free. So once you pull that out, this will slide off the back, and that puts some more space in there so that you're able to take that off easily. Then for the new belt, I just got the exact same model that was on it. It's a A26 by High Power, so brand new V-belt, all the same. Put it on there, pull this back forward. It's gonna be a little bit tighter, obviously, being a new belt. So just get it worked all the way around. Then take these screws back out. I would recommend cleaning up everything behind here while you've got it off. Just make sure everything else looks good. While I was doing this, I actually noticed that the back of my shroud back here is cracked, so I have to weld that up later. Save that for another video. So once you get it back to here, it's obviously going to be really tight. I doubt you'll be able to just pull this over by hand, and if you can, then your tension's probably wrong anyways. So what I do is I take just a piece of square tubing, 1x1 or 1.5 by 1.5 square tubing, hook it onto one of the bolts back here, and then use your leverage. This pipe's probably 2.5 foot long. Use the leverage that creates to reposition this cog, and it just slides right in like that. Again, you want to make sure that these holes are lined up because it makes it a lot easier to deal with it, but you might be able to slide it around and get it where you want it. If not, just pop it back off and retry it. Alright, so sprayed some WD-40 on it, got these holes lined up. So get these sunk back close together. And put your two bolts back in here. And that'll draw them back exactly where they're supposed to be. You can actually move this outside piece by hand, or I can now that I sprayed WD-40 on it. And they've got a lot more tension now. Before I had probably close to an inch or more that I could squeeze it in. I'm not sure what the torque specs are because my operator's manual doesn't tell me. So just kind of guesstimating. Do the same thing as you did earlier when you were screwing these in to force the wheel off. Just screw them in evenly. Tighten one side up a little bit, switch the other, tighten it up. And I just take them both until they bottom out, and they're obviously not going to move much anymore. Being careful not to snap them. And like I said, I don't know any other way to do this, but by looking at it, it looks like if I take out the 4 bolts back behind here, this whole thing should shift forward and backwards, which means that you'd also have to loosen these 2 bolts up here that run the head itself, or loosen those 2 belts up there that run the head itself. Just seems like it'd be a huge hassle compared to doing this. If you don't have steel tubing in here, you might be able to fit a 2x4 or a 2x2, something like that. So, hope this helps anybody else that runs across this problem and doesn't know what they're doing, like me.